Welcome to Create More Intimacy, a podcast for men. I'm Elisa Stoddard, and I help successful men stop chasing sex and start building real connection so they finally feel close, connected, and wanted again. Most men listening to this would say that they're trying. They're not checked out. They're not indifferent. They're not just going to go through the motions either. They care about their marriage. They think about it more than maybe they want to admit even. They worry about it, even when they don't say it out loud. And yet, something feels off. The effort they have put in has not turned into closeness. Doing more hasn't created desire. Showing up hasn't brought the connection you'd hoped it would. If that's you, I want to offer something today that might feel uncomfortable at first, but also clarifying. What if your marriage has slowly become the place that you try to feel okay? Now, don't hear this as being selfish. I'm talking about this in a human way. Many men are not actually relating to their wives. They're relating to how their wives make them feel about themselves. I want to be clear, this does not make you manipulative, and you're not broken by doing this. It makes you someone who learned early on to manage your sense of worth through performance and approval or getting things right. These are the people that push themselves at school, at work, in their hobbies. So you become the good husband, the reliable one, the man who provides, sacrifices, and tries so hard. On the outside, it can look like love, but underneath it, there's often something quieter happening. You're trying to feel wanted. You're trying to feel appreciated. You're trying to feel like you're enough. When the relationship becomes the place where that work happens, that's when pressure builds, even if no one names it as such. Over time, you may feel frustrated, maybe stuck, or maybe resentful. Over time, your wife may feel worn down or disconnected in ways that she doesn't know how to explain without it turning into another fight. That gap is what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to episode 34, when your marriage is about you more than you realize. A lot of men believe putting their wife on a pedestal is loving. They admire her. They talk about how strong she is. They describe her as capable and organized, emotionally intelligent. On the surface, that can look like respect. But pedestalizing often serves another purpose. It helps you steady yourself. When she feels confident, you feel safer. When she's grounded, you feel less unsure. When she approves of you, things feel okay. And that can feel reassuring. The problem is what happens to the relationship when this becomes the pattern. When you put your wife on a pedestal, you don't meet her as an equal partner. She becomes the emotionally capable one, the steady one, the one who holds more of the relational weight. And at the same time, many men still maintain power in other ways. They may control the money. They may make final decisions. They may expect her to manage the emotional climate of the relationship. So what forms is an imbalance. She carries the emotional responsibility, and you retain authority or control. And without meaning to, you place her into this weird parenting role. She starts tracking your moods. She starts managing your reactions, and she starts anticipating how to keep things calm or smooth. This matters because women do not want to have sex with someone they feel responsible for, someone they are managing. Parenting energy and sexual energy just don't go together. I talked about this more fully in a previous episode. It's number 24 if you want to go back and listen. What you need to know is that this pattern is often mistaken for love by men. But what many wives experience instead is pressure. Sure, they feel admired maybe, but not partnered with. They're for sure relied on, but not supported in the ways that the home and family need. Needed, yes, but not met where she is. And over time, that wears her down. Most men are not aware that there's a quiet motive running underneath how they show up in their marriage. They're definitely not thinking, I'm doing this to feel okay. They're thinking, well, this should help. This should make things better. This should move us forward. But underneath those thoughts is often this need that they don't yet have language for. They want to feel wanted. They want to feel appreciated, and they want reassurance that they matter. And very often, they want sex. Now, I don't want you to hear that as a criticism or me saying that it is coming across shallow. Because truthfully, what I have observed is that it's the only place they know how to feel connected. So their actions start pointing toward these outcomes. They maybe correct things. They set the record straight. They manage details. They step in to oversee, or they immediately go to fixing things. They do things that bring a sense of calm to themselves, things that feel more contained and more predictable. But from her side, it often feels like she's being managed rather than being partnered with. And I've heard some people say that it kind of feels like they're getting treated like their husbands treat their employees. She feels watched. She feels evaluated. She feels like her choices are being adjusted or improved. And that doesn't really create the closeness that either of them wants. That same dynamic shows up with effort. I have heard multiple men say that they've planned extravagant, expensive trips or bought really nice gifts. They do these things believing that it should lead to the connection they want. And often those gestures come with expectations that they don't really fully recognize. So I'm going to say it here. It's sex. It's appreciation and validation. When that doesn't happen, they feel rejected and they wonder why they went to all of this effort for her. I did everything right, they'll say. I showed up. I don't understand why she doesn't want me. What's usually missing from this picture is this. The action was not centered on her experience. It was aimed at getting something back that would help him feel okay. And because he doesn't yet know how to access emotional connection, sex becomes the stand-in for everything. Connection, reassurance, relief. He's not wrong for wanting it. When sex is carrying the weight of his self-worth and emotional stability, pressure builds without him ever realizing it. And I promise you, she feels it. He gives off a vibe. When a relationship becomes the place where one person is trying to feel okay, something subtle starts to happen on the other side. And it's not usually really dramatic. It doesn't accompany a big yelling match. There isn't always withdrawal right away either. More often, it's like this slow shift. She starts to pull back and conserve energy a bit. Guys, I want you to know it's not because she doesn't care. It's really because the effort to constantly respond to someone else's needs and expectations or emotional cues is heavy. She notices when attention comes with an agenda. You may not realize it when it's happening. She notices when effort is tied to an expected outcome. She notices when closeness feels like a request rather than an invitation. And over time, she adapts. She may stop bringing things up because it leads nowhere productive. She may stop engaging emotionally because it just simply feels safer. She may stop opening herself up sexually because the pressure is always there, even when no one says it out loud. It's not a punishment, guys. It's self-protection. When a woman feels responsible for managing someone else's sense of worth, desire goes down. It's not to hurt you, it's just sheer exhaustion. I recognize that from his side, it looks like she's pulling away for no reason. From her side, the relationship has started to feel like work. And not shared work, like shared work for the home that you two built. It's emotional work, and desire doesn't grow where there's obligation. This pattern doesn't feel selfish from the inside. It feels responsible. It feels like you're being patient. It feels like you're doing your part. Most men believe they are showing up. They're tracking effort. They're measuring fairness, maybe. They're focused on what they're doing. What they are rarely tracking is impact. They don't notice that attention comes with expectation. They don't notice that effort is aimed at reassurance. They don't notice how often they're waiting for something back. Many men were never taught to locate their emotional needs internally. They look outward. They look to achievement, to approval, to performance. So when that disconnection shows up, the relationship becomes the place that they turn. Relief feels like connection. Validation feels like intimacy until it doesn't. This is why men feel blindsided. From their perspective, nothing changed. From her perspective, she's been adapting for years. When a man stops asking the relationship to regulate him, the shift is subtle. It's not dramatic. It's not an instant turnaround either. This is hard work. What changes is how he shows up. He listens without translating everything into what it means about him. He acts without needing immediate reassurance. He engages without expecting something back. And to her, this makes his presence feel a lot steadier. The pressure lifts. She feels less responsible for his emotional state. She feels more room to be herself. She feels less managed or evaluated. That doesn't actually automatically restore intimacy, but it removes what blocks it. The connection doesn't grow because you want it more. It grows when the relationship no longer carries the weight of keeping you okay. Many men struggle in their marriage, and it isn't because they don't care. It's because they're asking the relationship to do something it just simply cannot do. They're asking the relationship to make them feel okay. And when that happens, effort turns into pressure. Attention turns into expectation. Sex turns into a stand for connection. The work here isn't trying harder. It's learning how to stand on your own 2 feet emotionally. If you recognize yourself in the things that I've said in this episode, and you are ready to look honestly at how this dynamic is playing out in your relationship, then I invite you to book a relationship clarity call. We'll talk about what's happening beneath the surface, where you're giving your power away, and what it would look like to lead yourself emotionally instead of waiting and managing or just simply enduring. You don't have to keep repeating these familiar patterns. Real intimacy starts with self-leadership. That's what I've got for you today. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Thanks for being here. If something in this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more men find the support they need. And if you are ready to get help or take the next step, you'll find the link to book a free call in the show notes. I'll see you next time.